interesting, very salient, and as I would say, like juicy as a receipt, that to think about the movements, right? The transference of power or ownership rather of Greenland and its like early elements of history that they have like documented, right? So I just wanted to kind of talk about that transference, right, between powers, right? Because right now we're talking about what someone trying to have ownership over Greenland. If you looked at the cover, it was Greenland status for Greenland, not for other entities, right? So talking about some of their origins and history will help us be able to have a better worldview of what may be happening, right? What may be happening. Hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, so recolonizing, right? Colonization rather, and cultural control, because this is where it gets really interesting. Something I think that's super important to bring up is it's something that happens a lot in history, right? We see this happen in other places as well. But I just thought it was super important that we acknowledge the impact of cultural control and how that plays a factor in gaining control, right? Because, I'm really big on systems, but I was formerly trained as a social worker and we study systems and how the system impacts the individual and sometimes how the system affects larger systems, vice versa, from top, bottom, and bottom back to the top. What I found very interesting was that 200-year absence, right? Like there was a point in time where they kind of like, okay, although we have control, they're not really doing too much with it. 200 years is not something to just like, about 200 years. That's a very long time. Traditionally, they used to say like a generation was considered 40 years. 40. So if you did the math with that, that's several generations. Nowadays, we kind of do generations through the lens of like 20 years, right? How many generations? That's evenly divisible, right? Within the 10, like within the 200. My apologies, I'm misspeaking early. But like right there, you have multiple generations that existed within that 200-year time frame, depending on how generations rolled out in your family, of course. So I just find that super significant, right? Because when they came back, they didn't come back saying, hey, guns are blazing, let's go 300 Sparta, run in there. We got our shields on, our armor, and all of these different things, right? They didn't come waving a flag. They came in as missionaries, right? They came in through the lens of religion and faith and spirituality, right?
Welcome to Legally Everywhere, where we are what?